Welcome to a casual conversation this Friday. I have with me Eric Arnum, who has been a wonderful friend over the last many years. He is someone who's been involved with the world of warranty for close to 20 plus years, publishes the Warranty Week, which gives this amazing insight into what happens, numbers, stats, and everything connected to it. So welcome, Eric.
Thank you,
And today
Roshan.
we're going to be talking about a very interesting area that seems to be relevant to anyone and everyone we speak to. And we're going to make this more conversational in nature, talk about, how this can essentially be practically applied. What does AI really mean in the world of warranty? And, where are agents really coming into play? So with that, Eric, let's start with what you're seeing in the marketplace and, take it from there.
Thank you, Roshan. Well, I have to say that, more than anything, the world right now is awash in data. There's data, coming from all directions. And one of the great innovations in the warranty space in the last couple of years has been the data that is coming off of the products themselves. You see that in cars that have the you basically plug them in and they tell you what's wrong with them. You see it in construction equipment with all the sensors, and you see it in agriculture, farm equipment. The Internet of Things is real, and the amount of data is piling up. And what the world needs now is not more data. What the world needs is an agent, agentic AI, which is capable of looking at that data and discerning from that data what are the patterns and what are the anomalies. And we see that at every stage. When the product goes into usage, um, you are able to just simply monitor the product performance. Everything is working well. You analyze the Internet of Things data, the sensor data coming off the product. Uh, you have an early warning of failures in that you look for patterns of failure. You look at the temperatures increasing. You look at the pressure increasing or decreasing, whatever happens to be the case. Vibrations increase, or there's voltage spikes or something else. Something is going wrong with the product. You identify that pattern perhaps even before the failure. Wouldn't that be wonderful if the product essentially told you I'm about to break down? And when that breakdown happens, again, you need agents, you need AI agents to figure out what went wrong, what broke, and what parts broke, what parts need to be replaced. How are we going to fix it? When are we going to fix it? Who is going to fix it? People have to be dispatched. People have to be scheduled. Parts have to be shipped. What you really want, I mean, whether the product is a passenger car or a washing machine or a big tractor or a piece of medical equipment, no matter what the product happens to be, what you want to do is you want to fix it the first time. So it's essential that you know what broke, how it broke, how to fix it, and what do you need to fix it. Which parts should you bring with you? If it's a field service dispatch, an AI agent can accurately predict what parts should you have on the truck. What do you need to bring? What tools do you need? Again, identifying the patterns and the anomalies, and it just keeps on moving on from there. I don't know. Are you seeing the same thing, Roshan?
Oh, absolutely. And it's very interesting, you know, in terms of what is evolving and the conversations that are happening, in the industry today. And before we move on, we also have a survey and poll that we would love to get some more insight with everyone who's on the webinar in terms of what you are seeing from your perspective and any feedback you can provide that obviously helps us get better and provide better, more accurate information. But if you look at the repair journey, right, it evolves, and the repair journey in itself is not one that is stationary in nature. And we see with what we're showing out here, right, when a product failure actually occurs, right, your failure is detected, you schedule your appointment. That is the world we live in today. The world of agents is transforming what is happening after the breakdown, right? So, and we don't see this as something that is an agent that is going to replace people. We don't see it as something that is completely able to run what requires to be done. We see this as a complementary exercise to begin with. So, for example, if you start looking at product failures that occur, right, the ability to pull up historical information, the ability to look at recalls, the ability to look at your DTC and your diagnostic code information, all of that exists today, right? But the ability to start putting all of that together in a way that is more easily accessible, in a way that is more conversational in nature, transforms the way someone analyzes a failure and provides information for what needs to be done, right? So if you look at the concept of a work order, the ability to look at a work order and look at which technician now to assign to that work order today is based on historical or data that's available, or tribal knowledge. But now an agent can essentially recommend based on information that is available there, to say, looking at any data, that this particular agent has resolved this particular issue and therefore is recommended in this particular location to be assigned, right? And now you start looking at agents coming in through a guided process to enable a solution, right? So that's what we are seeing when you look at just one part of that repair journey when a breakdown takes place. But Eric, from your conversation with other OEMs, what feedback are you receiving when someone talks about these agents, right? Because everyone is talking about them, but the actual deployment of these are still a black box.
Yeah. Well, in the old days, and I'm talking about, in the days of fax machines and things like that, people would, warranty experts would, just simply go through, a pile of papers and detect patterns and, anomalies the old-fashioned way. They say, oh, I noticed there's a trend here. Everything seems to be, in a certain way. And then, of course, we got to spreadsheets, and there you could range sort a column or something like that, and find a pattern numerically like that. But these people retire, and they move on, and they take that knowledge with them, what you call tribal knowledge. It's hard to pass on. And again, I go back to the same theme that an agentic AI, an artificial intelligence agent, is capable of identifying those patterns and picking out those anomalies. And in some cases, maybe even making decisions if you want to, allow it to go that far. But I have to tell you, the early word I'm getting back is that, well, as you said, these agents do not replace humans. And if you try to do that, you do so at your own risk. I heard a story last year coming out of Salt Lake City. I won't say the name of the company, but it was in the home warranty industry. This homeowner had a claim on their HVAC system, their residential HVAC system, and the home warranty company sent somebody out to fix it. But the technician told the homeowner that the system is on its last legs. It's not going to last. It's going to break down again. It needs to be replaced. So the homeowner went onto the website of the home warranty company and got into a discussion. They thought they were talking to a human. That's how good it was. It was a AI agent that they were talking to, and they said that the technician recommended replacing the unit, and the chatbot agreed to it. In fact, they agreed to spend $3,500 on the replacement. And the homeowner was very happy about that. But then, when the replacement was not happening, he called back to find out, what's the delay. The company told him that the chatbot was malfunctioning and that the replacement was not authorized. It was incorrectly, yeah, that's what I should say. It was incorrectly authorized. He sued and he won because he had in writing from a representative of the company that they should replace the system. So, he had it. And actually, he was a retired lawyer. So I should caution you that if you ever have a customer who's a retired lawyer, watch what you say to them or watch what you write to them in this case with the chatbot. But it's a lesson for all of us that when you attempt to replace a human with an autonomous chatbot, you better keep some supervision going because what they say will bind your company legally to certain actions that you may not appreciate. But
No, very interesting, right, Eric? And in fact, while we haven't come across such extreme cases yet, but the reason there is skepticism in the marketplace is because of examples like this, right? And that's where the complementary nature of what has to be done becomes very critical. Right? So, customers we are working with when we look at an agent today, the conversation is more about not just the miracle that an agent can perform, but how do you really validate a return on investment of time and money spent on building that agent, right? How do you ensure the accuracy of what is coming out, and how do you ensure that there is true efficiency being brought in, not just from a qualitative standpoint, but from a quantitative standpoint, right? So, one of the examples we were discussing, just yesterday, Eric, was even with the accuracy of replacement of parts, for example, right? So, if you want to ensure that when a repair is done and a part has to be replaced, right, the ability to go and place an order for the right part and to ensure that parts are available when you actually require them. Now, the agent that can determine, your inventory levels, an agent that can then drive a recommendation based on, data that is available through multiple systems, consolidate that, and based on historical information, actually come back to the technician right when the repair is taking place and start having a conversation saying, hey, based on historical information available, based on examples of similar jobs done, here is what I'm recommending should be ordered. And by the way, you have already utilized close to 60-70% of parts available of this particular model number, these particular SKUs. So would you like to place an order for these parts, right? So that entire workflow now can be driven through an agent, right? And that is the piece that an agent truly comes in and adds value with, right? So if we start looking at an agent to actually make that decision to go and place the order for the part without human intervention, that's the piece we think is still very, very ambiguous. And working in collaboration with key business stakeholders, working with people who have the knowledge and complementing them is the key, right? It's the same thing we are seeing with customer service agents, right? So, a customer service agent purely has an AI agent for the world we live in, where you have construction equipment that is in the field out there. You have large ag equipment, commercial bus and truck, and a repair is being performed. uh, to depend on an AI agent to drive the entire conversation, we still think is ways away. However, the ability to complement a customer service agent, empower them with knowledge that otherwise would be very hard to find in many cases because a lot of the data that you need could be distributed into multiple sources. The agent now plays a significant role to consolidate that data and enable the customer service agent to be far more informed when they help their customer, right? So that's where we see a lot of this playing a much bigger role and a much more quantifiable return on time and money investment.
Yeah. Before we move on from this slide, I just wanted to point out two very important things here. In the upper left-hand corner, you see appointments scheduled. And I think, the importance of being able to do that while the customer is on the phone or, you know, in chat with you or, however they're communicating with you. It's There's a lot of technology behind a successful appointment scheduling system. Artificial intelligence promises to make that even easier, but being able to schedule a technician, to the customer satisfaction while the customer is on the phone is extremely important. And then at the bottom left-hand corner, continuous learning. That's another promise of these AI agents is that they are always learning the patterns and the anomalies. And the dream of the latest generation of warranty claims management systems is that you learn from your failures, you learn from your repairs how to prevent failures in the future, either through better product design or better user manuals or whatever it happens to be. But you learn that this type of failure seems to happen all the time. Here's how we can easily prevent it in the future. So by learning from your warranty claims the patterns and anomalies, you can actually prevent in the future warranty claims from occurring.
Absolutely, Eric. And in fact, the transformation these agents are bringing in is not just the ability to learn, but the speed and the pace at which the learning starts taking place now, right? So the the whole approach to analysis of data, correlating trends from any historical, say, claim information that is available, uh, service campaigns that are out there, or even your diagnostic code information coming in real time. Right. Now, in today's world, still a lot of these different ways of getting information are analyzed in silos and then brought together. So there is a lot of effort that goes into putting all of that and finding what should be done to maybe kick off a campaign proactively. Now, where agents start transforming all of these activities is that the pace at which it can correlate all of this information and start making recommendations of what can be done. And in fact, when you start combining some of these agents, the concept of what we call as a super agent comes into play, right? So now you have looked and analyzed historical data. You have looked at diagnostic code information coming in. You've looked at utilization of that particular unit that's out in the field. So now the agent has the potential to recommend that based on all of this, there's got to be a kickoff of a maintenance schedule for that particular unit. Or there is too many of these alerts and notifications coming in. uh, there's a recommendation for a service campaign that starts coming into play, and you can kick off even creation of that campaign based on how campaigns have been created in the past. The agent can now go and actually create the entire campaign and keep that in a draft format ready to be essentially enabled right? So the ability to look at policies that can be generated by these agents, the ability to look at automation of claim adjudication, and the ability to also kick off campaigns, all of that now comes into play with these agents, but with a human complementing these decisions, right? So that's how we are looking at more of a pragmatic application of this, right? Before we get into talking about examples of these agents, again, just want to remind everyone on the call, please, if you can take some time to take the survey and poll that is out there. It also validates some of our thought process, will help us understand where you are focused on and where you see some of this being just castles in the air, and where you think this could truly add value from your standpoint. Eric, has start collecting data, right? Because Warranty Week has been awesome in just collating stats that are significant in understanding where the focus is, right, for a lot of the OEMs. Do you see anything changing? You know, are you seeing trends? We aren't yet. I'm not sure if you are seeing it from your analysis.
Several years ago, I think, we didn't call it artificial intelligence back then, but there were uh, the euphemism that people were using was suspect claims analysis. Other people call it fraud. But again, looking at the patterns and the anomalies. But more important than that, I mean, it's not always fraud. I guess that's why they call it, suspect claims. But incorrect claims or claims with incorrect codes, claims with incomplete information. How can you analyze incomplete narratives in those claims? And you see on this slide the idea of automating most claims and validating those claims pretty routinely, but also ensuring that the right codes are in there, the right parts are listed. The agent's essentially saying to the technician, wait, this doesn't make sense. Did you mean? And then there's an alternative. uh, you know, Providing support and guidance, I guess, is a good way of putting it, to, the technician filling out the claim, because it's not just an issue of paying the money. It's an issue of getting the right information to feed into the analysis of the failures. Very, very important. And it's not just detecting the fraud, it's detecting the mistakes. Maybe there's just a wrong code in there or something like that. And again, I see the promise of these agents being to, help the dealers submit correct claims, helping the OEMs figure out, what's the patterns and anomalies in here. If there's a recall to be made, to help them schedule those appointments, to, bring the customers in for, whatever has to be done to the units. But just generally being an assistant, a really good assistant, a really sharp assistant who, can analyze a large volume of data and get the right pieces of data, putting them together into, actions such as communications or letters or, messages or alerts or whatever it happens to be. The field technicians will appreciate it, helping them step by step going through the repairs. Why don't you try this? Why don't you check that? Again, being an assistant in the background, helping automate, well, not automate, but helping to reduce the amount of time spent on the repair, saving money, saving the labor costs, making sure that the right parts are there. Frequently, I've heard, especially with today's extremely complex units, passenger cars in particular, and also many electronic products, what the technicians will do is they'll try replacing this, see if that fixed it. No, well, let's try replacing that. So there's a lot of unnecessary part replacements going on just to see what works. An AI assistant in the background can once again help guide the technician. You should check this first, or, whatever, sort of orchestrate the repair if you will, based on expert information, gleaned from thousands or perhaps even hundreds of thousands of claims.
No, you're spot on, Eric. In fact, yeah, when you look at suspect scores or claims, a lot of the OEMs, in fact, almost all of them that we speak to, the intent of even creating that score is never to have a gotcha, right? So the belief truly is that most dealers, if not all, are trying to do the right thing, and the ability to catch it early on is where the value really is, because you want to enable and educate, whether it's the technician or the dealer submitting the actual claim. If you are able to recommend that through an agent, in today's world, that agent is still an actual customer service representative that probably gets on a call and says, "Hey, by the way, these are the mistakes you made." Right? Or the claim comes in and it gets denied the first time around, saying that, "Hey, this information wasn't available." Or, "By the way, you submitted the same claim with the same information and the wrong failure code twice now." Right? So the ability for it could be either AI driven, right? So it could be learning models that we have now used to accurately predict the QA code, right? So the repair code is actually now being recommended through a learning model that says this is what we think your repair code should be. So that reduces the potential for a wrong claim to come in. And similarly, an agent that starts putting in data that is available to the dealer while they're filing a claim and saying, "We understand that you think that this is the right claim, this is the right information, but there is a potential that this may be flagged, and here are the reasons why this may not go through." So you reduce the potential of a claim being denied. You reduce the potential of a claim being marked as a suspect claim, right? So that's where a lot of this starts truly coming into play. And it's the same when it comes to looking at pricing recommendations. You start looking at analysis of data is now transforming from just what used to be regular data to looking at videos and making recommendations of what could be done through the analysis of the videos that are now available or images that are now available. So we've listed down some agents that we continue to work with our customers. Some of these are very nascent in stages of experimentation. Some of them are already deployed and adding value, but we believe we are at a truly transformational movement and moment, right, where looking at agents being complementary to SMEs, the ability to really change how information is provided and acted on is where the true value of agents in warranty and service contracts will be visible, at least in the near future. Right? And we are hoping that that continues to be where folks take that leap and believe that these are complementary in nature. And I think that will help us transform what we're seeing in the with the customers that we're working with, and in general with each of these personas that you see on this slide.
Product data, customer data, operational data, failure data. There's plenty of data in the world. What we need now is somebody to analyze it.
Okay, so with that, we wanted to just thank everyone for joining us today. Uh, love to continue this conversation. Uh, Thank you again for helping us with the survey and poll. And have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Eric, for your time. It's wonderful as always, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Roshan. Have a great weekend.
You too.